All right, hey everybody, how you doing tonight? It's time for the uh, the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond Facebook group live show. I'm Jeff Freeman, your host, and my co-host over there, Jack Campbell. And
Evening, Jeff.
how you doing? And let's see here. We also, whoops, I got to turn that down. All right, there we go. All right, I think I got everything set up. Hey, how you guys doing tonight? Jennifer, how you doing? Kathy's out there. Deidre, glad to have you here with us tonight. And let's see how, there we go. Things are rolling here now. We're getting this going here. All right. So, boy, what an interesting show last night, huh, Jack?
It was. I mean, they didn't go many places, but they found a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did. It was kind of cool because they finally got into the southeast corner of the swamp, which is something I really wanted to see, get that going, and we can talk about that some more as we go along here. Hey, so I think we also have. Let's see here. What do we have here? Linda, are you still there?
I'm still here. Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, we have Linda on tonight, everybody. Linda Simpson. All right.
I'm good.
She's going to be dual purposing tonight. She's going to be in here talking with us, and she's also going to be trying to do her best to keep up with all the chat tonight too, as well. So there you go. Hi, Mary from Wisconsin. How you doing? Linda?
She had a like show come Saturday.
Joe from England. All right, Joe. Glad to see you here. Let's see who else we got. There's Deidre again. Yeah, that was pretty neat. I started watching Deidre. I was watching a bit of your podcast last. I know it was pre-recorded, but that was pretty cool. And glad you guys do that. It's so cool. The trivia and stuff you guys do is awesome. Really. So you guys got to check that out if you haven't seen that before. It's Could It Be Oak Island podcast. So you guys got to check that out. It's really, really a cool show. And you guys do a great job. Really appreciate that a lot. Going over everything and some of the different things you do. It's very unique. So appreciate that very much. I know I like to watch it and you get a lot of info from it as well. Oh, look at there. Joe says, nice to hear you, Linda.
Joe and I talk a lot back and forth between Kansas and England.
Yeah, I'll have to. Deidre, I'm going to have to hear your show. I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
Oh, you got to check it out, Jack.
It's on my bucket list.
Yep, you got to check it out. It's pretty cool. I really enjoy watching it. Yeah, they got some good stuff, and they give away gifts too. So if you participate and you do the trivia, you might win something. So you never know. All right, Anne Marie is here tonight from Germany. How you doing, Anne Marie? Glad you're here with us all the way from Germany. What time is it in Germany right now? Oh my goodness, got to be early in the morning, I would think, huh?
1:00 in the morning, maybe.
Ooh, man, that's really staying up late. But anyway, yeah, we had a pretty good show last night, I thought. I was really, really waiting for them to get into the southeast corner of the swamp because I think that's a very, very interesting place. And we knew that we saw from the aerial footage, the drone footage, we knew that they had basically found that roadway there. 1 a.m., she says, 1 a.m.
I was, okay.
Yep. Could It Be Oak Island podcast? Thank you, Linda, for putting that up there. So yeah, that was really hi Jan. Oh, I forgot to mention Jan and her synopsis. I'm sorry, Jan Anderson doing her synopsis for us that she does, and I refer to that quite a bit.
Every time we go on the air, I have it.
I know, get my show notes together, but thank you very much for putting that together, Jan. It's I know it's got to be a ton of work.
John, how you doing out there today?
Is Tony is with us? Oh, Tony is with us. Hey, Tony, how you doing? Glad you're here with us too. Don Brents, Pam Block. Wow, everybody's showing up here tonight. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us here. So yeah, we were, like I was saying, we were really interested in what was going on over in the southeast corner of the swamp, and we kind of got a taste of it initially on in the first couple of episodes when we seen our friend here, Tony Sampson, was pushing around Dr. Spooner in the inflatable boat and looking for some scanning he was doing at the time, looking for this ridge, and found this anomaly that they now have discovered is some sort of a roadway. built out of the rocks. And we'll get into that a little bit more as we go along. But man, I was really chomping at the bit for them to get in here and really start to look at this area and find out what was in there. We got Don Wagner with us here. Don, thank you for coming. Appreciate it very much. So let's jump into it. We can take a look at some of the pictures. I got some pictures that I pulled up here for everybody. Let's see here. There we go. Show. And then fix this. There we go. I really don't like the way BeLive does that, moves these boxes around, but yeah, heavy duty roadway. I guess it really is. Hey, so the first picture I had there, of course, is, with Dr. Spooner and Rick, heading over to the swamp, and he had Jack Bagley with them and taking a look at things. And so they get over here to the swamp area, and then there's the guys, of course, Billy Gerhardt and Gary Drayton and Jack, as they're getting ready to start working this area a little bit, and they had to put the boards down. Can you imagine that muck? Can you imagine all that muck? That swamp, that mud that they have to
probably sink to your hip. You
What's
stepped
that?
the wrong way.
And it's got a smell. I guess it smells pretty good too. It's got a good fragrance to it. But anyway, so there they are getting ready to start working this area a little bit. And then I gotta grab this shot here. This one's pretty neat. Kind of gives you, you saw this on the show last night, but it kind of gives you a shot looking down at this area where they're going to be working. And basically they wanted to take and scrape off the muck off of this area right here to get a better look of what was underneath it. How you doing, Paula? Yeah, the mud wouldn't bother me, but the smell. Jennifer, I agree with you 100% on that. That's for sure. The smell. And I'm, being from northern Michigan up in the UP, believe me, I've seen my share of swamps. There's quite a few of them up there. And some of the ones up there, we call them cedar swamps because there's so many cedar trees around it. It actually turns the water a root beer color. If anybody's ever been up there, there's a falls up there called Tequamanon Falls. Yeah, beautiful. Oh, that's right. You've been up there. And Tequamanon Falls.
Well, Lake Superior's got that rust color to it also.
Yeah, it does. And it looks like root beer falls because as the water's flowing over, it looks like it's got that Coca-Cola or root beer color. So they call it root beer falls, and then it makes a foam too. And it's from all the cedar. It's from all the cedar swamps, the water draining in from the cedar swamps. It's really kind of interesting. Paula from England, up really late. So anyway, this is where they're starting to work this area. Barb's here. Oh, Barb's here with us tonight. Glad to be here. Thank you. Appreciate and glad you have you with us. So they started working this area and they wanted to scrape off this 15-foot area right there. And here's a little close-up shot of it. Now, one of the things, the reason I kind of captured this picture here is that not only does it show them beginning to work on this area of the swamp, but it also shows this little area right here to the right, which is actually the, I believe this is the wood structure that they found.
That's the one they found when they were going around in the boat.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, this one was a little bit over to on the dirt side. They were in the boat over here. This is the one that Gary found when they went over with the metal detector, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But they found that with the metal detector. They found some hits, and then when they dug it up, they found some wood, and they started digging. So I believe this area right here is that wood structure. That's they thinking maybe a port of a wharf or something like that. And I really wanted to find out more about it, but they didn't talk about it at all last night on the show. I was really kind of disappointed because they didn't bring it up at all. But we'll see. I think it's coming up next week, though. I think they're going to be working that one. So, and I got one more picture. I took a little bit. Oh, this one here is this one shows Billy getting working there, scraping it off. And I got to tell you, the guys that do this kind of work with an excavator, they've got to be so, good with the fact that if you watch during the show, you watch Billy working that thing and how he was just taking the bucket and he was just taking a couple of inches of that muck off the top and scraping it back. I mean, almost like an extension of your own arm. They get so good at that kind of stuff. Did you notice that?
Yeah, he's so calm about it. I mean, it's him. It's not. They say, "Hey, we need this." No problem. Here we go. I mean,
yeah. He's so good with that. Yeah, Billy is. He's so good with. Obviously, been doing it for many years, but just so delicate about And then you see in one part where he kind of catches one rock and he's like, "Oop, okay." He kind of lifts it up a little bit and then continues to scrape and to peel off that muck. But I thought that was really neat. Yeah, he is. Pam. You're exactly right. And Deidre both. Yeah, he is a pro at that.
I think he has his own company also, if
He
I
does.
remember.
Yeah, he does. He has his own business there. Of course, he probably has to let his buddy or his employees run that because I think he spends most of his summer right here on the island because I think they keep him pretty busy. So he probably has to let his employees handle his business, taking care of things for him there. Because, like I said, I think he's here quite a bit of the summer months. Um, let's see. I was just looking at some of the chat here. Jennifer says, given the hole dug by the tree and the aerials from that later, the area showing what looks like a tunnel. I wonder if they found it was really a slipway. I don't know. Hopefully, we'll get more information on that next week, Jennifer, because I agree with you. When I first saw that, especially from those drone footage, it did look like it was some sort of a tunnel entrance or a shaft or something. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see next week what they come up with, because I think they are talking about it. I got a couple shots from the promo. Kathy from Minnesota, how you doing? Glad you're here tonight, Kathy. Let's see. So that they were working that area, and here's another shot that we got. Linda took this one. This was showing some of the, and again, you can't really see the rocks. You can see some of the bumps in here, but they were working this area trying to find that. And I had to really step back on this a little bit because even though it's very similar to the road paveway that they found over on the other side of Tom Nolan's little peninsula, over closer toward the eye of the swamp, that area there is very similar where they had the different size rocks level stacked up. This one doesn't appear that it connects with that in any way, but I don't know about the dating. Did they
They
did
dated
Mhm.
they dated the one they're working on now in the 1700s,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
it was stones were like 3 high.
Yeah, they were stacked 3 high. Yeah, exactly. And so from that, we can kind of, I don't know about underneath because I know over in the other section, the road paveway that they found over there, over by the eye of the swamp, Dr. Spooner had taken a piece of wood that he found that was mashed between a couple rocks, and he had dated that piece of wood. Do you, Linda or Jack, do you remember what the dating was on that piece of wood?
Ooh, no,
I don't remember now. I think it was somewhere around the
It was a long time ago.
it was a
yeah.
large.
I thought he was saying 1200s,
I
1300s.
I thought
Is
it was
that
like
where they got the
1220s
1220
or
from?
something like that.
What's that, Jack?
Didn't they get the 1220 from that?
Yeah, I think so. I
Yes.
think you're right. I think it was 1220. Thank you. I knew one of you guys would remember. So
The,
they
the other thing about what they're working on right now, Jeff, is what they're working on. I have in my notes here. They said it was angled right up toward the money pit. That road was kind of like an angle going up.
yeah, and I've got a shot of that too, and I'll show you that here in just a second. Ellie, I'm reading your message here. Confused. Please explain if everyone volunteers or do they have grants for expenses? I'm not sure. Do you guys know that you're talking about Billy and all the different people that are on the island working? I think that the ones that they've hired in, like I think Billy probably gets paid for this. But I mean, people like, Jack and Jack Bagley and them, I don't know that any of them are getting paid for this, but any of the
They
contractors.
get paid as producers by Prometheus.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you look in the
Jack
credits at the
Bio
end of
says
the
that.
show, they are listed as producers by Prometheus. There are grants from Nova Scotia that help pay for things. Prometheus and the History Channel help pay for things. I think it depends on who you work for,
Yeah.
how they get paid. It's just not anything that's ever been important, so I haven't really looked into it.
Right. Right. Yep. See, this is exactly why I wanted you to be on here with us because you got so much information. But yeah, I think you're exactly right. Grants and whatnot. And Ellie's asking again, where does the money come from? Well, the money that Prometheus gets would come from their advertising and things of that nature, being in the TV business that they would have for that. Barb chimed in on that as well during the show as well. So there's a lot of money in the show, obviously being I think it's still Oak Island. The Curse of Oak Island is still like the #1 reality TV show going on right now, is it not?
Yes, and also they were ranked. I saw, was it on our page or somebody else's, that they were like the #8 ranked show total at one time for a while.
Yeah.
Michelle said that Beyond is the #8 show, and The Curse of Oak Island is #3, following 2 of the NBA broadcasts.
Wow. See there? That's awesome. So they're raking in some money there. There's definitely got some money coming in. I wanted to go back here just a minute on the chat too. Don Brent said 1220 to 1300s, and that's the piece of wood that was in the stone paved area up by the eye of the swamp. Thank you, Don. Appreciate that. So that dates it now. So I'm wondering, because when they were talking about this area here, they had mentioned that it was just in the early 1700s, which is great in itself because that predates it to the actual finding of the money pit. But I think that when they get down deeper and they really start to look underneath these rocks, or find maybe some wood that might be stuck in there, I bet if they look, they might find that this was about the same time frame, maybe not. But I remember Dr. Spooner saying also that this whole area was probably not a swamp when this was built. So, and
it's kind of interesting. I am putting a connection between what they're working on right now, and they were out there diving, and they found that wharf-like structure in that area. If they are connected.
Yeah, I'm thinking they are, personally. I think you're right, Jack. I think they are connected because they found that area out there. Well, one of the things when Tony, when you were out there with your the metal detector and you were looking around, you found that area out there of stones. And this is, maybe you can answer for us in chat, but if you're allowed to, and again, I don't want to ask you to do something to interfere with your NDA, but what is it your opinion that those stones are similar to the stones here? I don't know, because we can only see a little bit of a shot in the greenish color of the water and everything. We didn't really get a good look at it. But you being there and seeing it with your own eyes, maybe you have a better insight of what that actually, if they resemble each other in any way, shape, or form. That would be interesting to know. Let's see. I'm going to scroll back on the chat here too. It's running by pretty quickly. Let's see. Oh, hey, Wanda's with us here. Wanda, thank you for coming.
Welcome.
Barb Wright. Yep. Advertising for the show, sponsorships, advertising, etc.
I don't know who, I've got Facebook user, but whoever it was made the same mistake I made about Marion being an intern. So I have to apologize again for that.
Oh yeah, she's an archaeologist.
I know. I did not realize that right away.
Yep. Yeah, she is definitely an archaeologist. At least that's what it was labeled. We haven't talked to her obviously, but it was labeled on the show that she's an archaeologist. So she's made it to that point, and congratulations to her on that. Let's see. Jennifer said it would be, I would think the archaeology stuff may be in grants. You could be right. Yep. And that's something that Linda was saying too.
The other thing I'm wondering, they're bringing so many archaeologists on. This must be the year they find a lot of things that they have to get, like the mound and everything else, that they're going to have to get dated and everything.
Yeah. And it's funny listening to Marty when he says, oh, there's, darn archaeologists on the island. But they have to be there. You guys, Aaron, we've had Aaron on the show, great guy, and so full of knowledge, the stuff that he knows about this stuff. And Aaron, coming in and talking to us about this, fantastic to do that. But they have to be there. They have to have those guys on the island, because if not, I mean, Rick and Marty aren't going to destroy the place like Dunfield did. We know that, but still, you have to have this well documented, and who better to do that than the archaeologists, right? I mean, that's my opinion on it. You have to have those guys.
Well, they are on the side of the island, I think, where they have to have it now.
Yeah, I think it's from the edge of the swamp over to the east. You don't, but on the west side of the swamp you do. But I don't know about this area right here. But you notice that Dr. Spooner stopped them when they were here. and said, okay, on the second day, he said, okay, I think we need to stop right here. And I think we need to get the archaeologists over here to have a look at this and let them make a decision, as to, what we do from this point, which I think is fantastic. And I think that's, they play a very, very important role, all the archaeologists. And I think it's due time that they had, Laird is great, but Laird's only one man. And when you got stuff happening simultaneously all around the island, how in the heck do you keep track of everything? So, half the time you'll have Aaron and Miriam working on one area, or Liz, and then you'll have Laird will be off working on something else altogether. So really interesting there. But again, I think it's something well needed. Let's see. Barb was saying, also Barb agrees with the archaeologists would be grants, and yes, they would be internships. Well, yeah, it was some of them. I don't know. Was Linda, do you remember if Liz, was she intern or was she actually an archaeologist as well?
He also is an archaeologist.
There you go. Yep. See. Let's see.
But those grants may come from the college themselves too.
Exactly. Could be. Jeff Woods here with us tonight. Just tuned in. Thank you, Jeff. Welcome. Glad you're here. Let's see. Oh, Wanda said, that's what I've been saying, Jack. And I don't recall exactly what you were saying that she's agreeing with, but she's agreeing with you on something there.
Okay. Well, I'm glad of that.
I had to scroll back for a minute. Let's see. Oh, thanks for the correction. I was under the impression Miriam was an intern of a local college. That was Barb Wright. Replying to Barb. Yeah. So yeah, she's definitely an archaeologist. We want to make sure that we give her a title. And that was something like with Aaron, when we were, doing some checking into Aaron's background, he hadn't had his doctorate yet, but now he does. So he's Dr. Aaron Taylor.
Yeah, because that had not been put in his bio or anything else yet.
Right. Exactly. They hadn't updated that stuff yet. So I'm glad we found out about that, and congratulations to him. That was just recently too, wasn't it, Linda, that he got his doctorate?
May?
I think it was this year.
I was thinking it was the year before, but it might have been this year.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Dreaded, the dreaded archaeologist. Yep. Pam was saying. Let's see here. Ellie. Oh man, Miriam. She's lucky and smart. Yeah, she is. Yep. And she seems to really know her stuff too. That's what's really cool about it. She was the one.
The thing about the archaeologists that I marvel about, Jeff, Linda, is their patience that they have with the little brushes.
I know.
A towel and a brush.
I could do that.
Putting everything in a little bucket and then taking the bucket and going through everything. But you really have to, they really have to do that, or they might miss something. And again, when we get to that point, we'll talk about that some more as we'll wait till we get over there after the
Think about how tiny that little piece of charcoal was.
Yep.
And if they'd been using a shovel, they never would have seen that little bitty speck of charcoal.
And that's like here, I'm going to move on to the next picture because right here, when Gary, and I was watching this, I saw it a couple of times watching the rerun, but Gary started going over the pile of spoils of the muck that was just dumped out by Billy. And he was going over and he looked down and he saw this piece of coal that was down there and this little piece of pottery. So right off the bat, I mean, obviously that's not something that's going to be detectable by the metal detector, but he saw it laying on top. So how much of that would be missed? Like you said, if he hadn't looked down and seen it, he saw both of these were on top of the pile of muck.
He found those with his twin optical scanners.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Twin optical scanner. He said that once before, didn't he? Yeah.
Yep.
His twin optical scanners. Thank you. That was hilarious.
And the pottery they found, it dated back quite a ways. They had seen that pottery before Laird had.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they did.
On various parts of the island.
Yep. Yeah. Here's a closer shot of that one piece that he found right there. And it's got that blue glaze on it. Don Brent says, having the archaeologist gives more transparency by having them on site. You're absolutely right. And I think that's very important. Liz Michaels. Thank you, Linda. Liz Michaels was the other archaeologist that's been working on the island. Let's see. Sharon was saying, great admiration for those that find these treasures. It looks like tedious work, and it really is.
Oh, it had to be.
Yep, it has to be. Yeah, it is tedious work, but yeah, you got to hand it to them, and they might spend weeks out going through little bits and pieces before they actually find anything that's worth mention. But they have to do that, and that helps them. And well, like I said, we'll talk about that more when we get onto the section of the Serpent Mound. But
Now, did they ever say on that coal that Gary found if they were going to get that carbon dated?
I
I do
don't
not
believe
remember.
I don't believe they said. What do you think, Linda? Did they say anything about that?
I don't remember that they said anything about it.
But
It
you-
wouldn't surprise me,
Yeah.
but
No.
but they didn't bring that up.
Yep. Barb says women are naturally good at finding things, so Miriam is a great addition.
Okay.
I'm just
I
thinking
think
about
we got
that.
slammed, Jeff.
Where's that remote? Where is that remote at? Yeah, the better half finds it for you right away. Wanda says the paved way that may run under the road, and Tony dived on. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking of. What I was saying there about Tony when he was scuba diving off the on the other side of the roadway there. Could it be a connection of some sort? That's what I'm wondering. I got to catch up to that. I got 17 comments that are ahead of me here. I was just scrolling back. Barb Wright says my nephew is an archaeologist. He has a BA and told me a doctorate is a necessity to getting a chance to work in the best projects. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Gary does have Ellie says Gary has a trained eye to see things of importance. And absolutely, he absolutely would. You're right. Absolutely right that, he would have to, otherwise, he's going to, cause he's used to looking down. He said that actually too, with his twin optical scanners. He looks down all the time and he's always, finds stuff that's laying on top of the ground. And I think that, I'm going to move on here to the next picture. He found this piece here. What do you guys make of this? What do you make of that thing?
I'm going to have some members because I have no clue.
I don't either. What do you guys think, chat? What do you guys think about this, members out there? What do you think this thing could possibly be? I'm wondering if it has anything of significance at all. But I mean, and again, he looked down and spotted this thing laying there. Again, with those eyes, being able to pick stuff out like that. Let's see. Pottery might have washed up in the tide over the years. Yeah, that's a good point, Pam. It could have.
That would come from maybe where they were diving too.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Jennifer says, I don't know that carbon dating the coal would be of much use, would it? I don't know. It would just oh yeah, you're right. It would just indicate the year that it was formed, not the year that they were actually using it or found it there. That's very true. That's very, very true. That's, if they could have found that and had a pile of coal that they dug up from somewhere, and it could be dated hundreds and hundreds of years ago, when it doesn't have anything, that date doesn't relate to, when it was left there on that spot. You're exactly right. Thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Barb says, I looked up Gary's bio, and he's been digging his entire life. Growing up in Grimsby, Gary spent many years as a bottle digger in the UK, digging old Victorian trash pits and mud, hopping along the riverbanks. Let's see, in search of bottles and clay pipes, doll heads and marbles and things of that nature, and jewelry. Yep. Yeah, that's true. I remember him talking about that. And he has got quite his own website. He's got a lot of information out there too for that kind of stuff. Ellie says she thought it was a piece of a necklace. Yeah, Linda also agreed. Coal could be misleading when it's dated. You're right. Barb says she agrees with Gary. It might be a piece of a brooch or an earring. Yep. Any type of uniform.
It might look entirely different if we could actually see it.
I know.
All we see is a picture of this little thing in Gary's hand.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like, I don't know.
I know. You're exactly right. Yeah, it does. It's kind of like,
Don't they have the one guy back in the one. He dated coins and everything else. Wouldn't he be somebody that could possibly say what that was?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe like Kelly Barassa or
Yeah.
somebody like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Kelly. Yeah.
I did not remember the name, but I remember.
Hmm. Yeah, could be. Barb says it looks like abalone. I thought that too, Barb. When I first saw it, because the way abalone looks, it has a different color patterns in it. I was thinking the same thing. Let's see. Kind of reminds me. Sharon says, kind of reminds me of Native American jewelry. Yep. Fish scales. Jeff Wood says a piece of fish scales. Yeah, it does. Let's see. Jennifer says, I wonder if it's a hair piece like that of a comb or some
Hmm.
sort of a, yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll hope. Yeah, it is a bit small. We'll find out. Yeah, we don't know if it's glass or metal, Pam says, and you're right. It's so small. Very true. Anyway, an interesting find. Well, I'm sure we'll get more information. Hopefully, well, again, sometimes we see these things that they dig up and they show us on the initial show, and then we never hear it about again. And that just sometimes that just aggravates me because I want to. What about that thing you found that one day? And they never talk about it again. Here I got a little closer shot of that wood structure that's in the southeast corner there. Just to the right of, or just east of what they were, where they're digging the muck off there. So it looks like it's all surrounded by water too. So really interested in that. And I took another shot of it here. You can kind of see it. Obviously they've reached in there with the bucket, the excavator, and reached in there and they've dug out all around down deep on that. And I'm really curious to see more information on this. I really am. I think this is a cool anomaly, and I really want to find out what they found here. Um, Here's a shot that I've got from the drone footage, and the reason I grabbed this was because of these pictures that the pictures that we saw, all with the rocks all covered in mud, and I had one here earlier. You don't get a real good look at exactly what this is or where it goes. And this is one of the pictures somebody had mentioned, how it's kind of leading off towards the money pit area. And so I grabbed these here, and here's another one. Okay. And this one here is showing that here's that paved area. And just like Dr. Spooner had said, about 20 feet wide and about 70 feet long. But as one of our people, and I've forgotten who mentioned it earlier, does this extend out underneath the road where the excavator was sitting and go out on into the ocean? And does it lead over to where Tony was?
That's what I've been wondering.
It very well could. Now, and like Dr. Spooner was saying, this was obviously a place. I mean, it's so obvious that this was some sort. They had to build this in there, and they had to use this as somewhat sort of a roadway. And why would they put it there if it was not for the loading or an unloading of, stuff?
And that was deep, and he said that was deep water at one time also.
Yeah, well, he made some comment about it being covered in several feet of water or something, which I guess at some point it would have, but the water's been rising all this time. And if the roadway wasn't there, I don't know. It just depends. I really don't know. I think this would have been my thinking when he said that. I was thinking, is that it would have been underwater at some point, maybe in years past, but the water's going up now. It's coming up now from the glaciers melting, but I don't know. I don't know. I kind of took me back when he said that. I was thinking, well, this has always been above ground, but we don't know. Let's see. Some of the chat has gone by here. Let's see. Maybe Carmen Leg would be able to ID it. Or if you're talking about that little piece, yeah, he might. I don't know. That it's worth giving him a shot to look at it. I would think. Um, it looks like a dock crib. Dock crib. Are you talking about? I'm not sure what you're referring to, Henry. There, if you're talking about the structure, the wooden structure, or are you talking about that piece that they found? A dock crib. Let's see. Maybe, but it didn't look like blacksmith made it. It was. Wish it was bigger. Yeah, me too. Um, If you're talking about this overhead shot right here, Andy, this shot was taken in October of 2020. So yeah, October of 2020. So that's where this piece of roadway, this aerial footage is from. And they had it cleared off very well by then, and you could very distinctly see the rocks here and the roadway. And as somebody had mentioned here also, that these rocks are kind of that roadway is kind of heading off towards the money pit. Isn't that correct? You guys, didn't that what
Yeah,
they?
it was that kind of an upward slant toward the money pit.
Mm-hmm. So the angle of it is heading towards the money pit area.
And that would go through lot 15, and that would be the axes that they found possibly.
Mm-hmm. Now, my thinking on that too was that now the charcoal or the coal, not charcoal, the coal they found and the pottery. The pottery I could see being there because if they were unloading stuff and they dropped something and broke it, they're not going to bother to pick it up. They're just going to leave it lay there and it's going to get covered up. The coal could have been dropped as well. Now, I was thinking, and again, this is one of those things that rolls through my head when I see this stuff. The coal, I was thinking, might have been being transported to the pine tar kiln where they were using the coal to burn in that area so that they could make the pine tar. What do you think? So they were offloading coal and running it up to lot 15 where the pine tar kiln is and using it up there. What do you guys think about that? I don't know. A thought that occurred to me. Because they're going to need coal. They're going to burn with wood, but coal's going to burn a lot hotter. Let's see. Pam says, what about those stacks of stones in the muck where the wood, what was it? What about the stack of stones in the muck where wood was found? If you're talking about on the other side up by the eye of the swamp, is that what you're talking about there, Pam? The wood that was found there was dated early, we think we 1220 to 13 or 1400, somewhere in there. Let's see. Carmen works with metals and could identify that it's made of, at least. Yeah, you're right. You could. Hey, Pat, how you doing? Pat from Mississippi's here with us. You need to look at Spooner's 1600 map of the water levels. Yeah, and I will. I've got that too, and we can bring that up for sure. Henry was talking about the actual structure. Yes. Yeah, I agree with you, Henry, on that. It does look like some sort of a dock, a portion of a dock or a wharf. That's what I was kind of thinking. I wanted it to be a tunnel. I wanted it to be a shaft or some sort of a shaft or a tunnel, but I don't think it is. I think it has more to do with a wharf or a dock. So I agree with you on that. So that very well could be. Let's see here. Series 8, Episode 1 started tonight in the UK, and the swamp has not been pumped out yet. Oh, Andy, yes, that's true. Hey, you can catch up with us if you want, Andy, because we do have our friend at Rising Phoenix over on Twitch TV. He runs the show live every week. He rebroadcasts it on Twitch, so it's there if anybody. It's listed in our announcements, or you can find it in there. How to find him. There's a link to him. Barb says, I didn't know what a dock crib was, so I looked it up. Crib docks are made from wooden frames or crates called cribs placed along the bottom. These are permanent, custom-built wooden frames that are filled with large rocks and covered with decking. Thank you. And right. And Henry said that's what it looked like to him. And I agree. I think it does. What do you guys think? Linda, Jack, what do you guys think?
It could be. I mean, it's really tough to tell right now with so much muck there right now. And they really, you can't. They've got to get it to drain off a little bit more, I think, where you can really get a feel for what you have.
Yep, I agree. Yep. The wooden structure looks like a dock crib, a wooden frame filled with rocks to support a dock. Exactly right. Was that not in the cofferdam? Let's see. Reply to Keith. Let's see. That was in season 7. Also, the pot stove. Yeah, they found that piece of that pot stove over there too. Yep, Jeff. Potbelly stove used. Yeah, they did use charcoal. You could use wood in them too, but they did burn charcoal in them, and it got very hot because it does burn hotter and it burns a lot longer than just using regular wood. So you're right, and they found that piece of that potbelly stove in the same general area. So you're right. It could have been simply coal that was being used for the potbelly stoves for heat. So rather than, I was thinking the pine tar kiln, but you're right. It could be this as well. Let's see. It would be easy to look into how hot does a fire need to be to make pine tar and how hot does coal burn? Well, Jennifer, guess what? I'm going to ask you to go look that up for us. You guys are fantastic out there, and I love our members for having such great knowledge. But that's a thing to find out. If you want, you can. I'll leave if you want to go and look into that. I have no idea how hot a fire would have to be for a pine tar kiln, but that's very interesting. I don't know. If you'd like to look that up, Jennifer, that'd be great. You don't have to do it tonight, but I'd love to hear about that. You can post it on the group later on. It'd be interesting to find out. Let's see. Keith says it's closest to the road. Gary Drayton found a bunch of would open to the end of the swamp, and they said it was a slipway. Yeah, they did say it was a slipway, but they're not really sure. I don't think at that point. I don't think they were absolutely sure, but you're right. It could be one of the either. What season are we at in the moment, Andy? We are on season 8, episode 9, was just aired last night. Season 8, episode 9. Somebody else actually told you that. Yep. Let's see. Keith says, I've seen season 8 Sunday night pass. Yep. Keith says he's in Newfoundland. All right. That's awesome. I love when we got members from all over the place like this. That's absolutely cool. Let's see. Man, so many. I'm so far behind on the chat. I'm over here rolling the chat. There's like 30 behind. I'm so far behind already. I need to spend more time reading this. Yeah, Linda put up that post for the Rising Phoenix. Viking ships were made of split oak and pine. Perfect island to bury treasure and repair ships. Yep, you're exactly right, Pam.
Yeah.
Let's see. So it has been repeated tonight. Let's see. Jeff says he likes making maple syrup. I have never made it, but I've watched it being made, and I tell you what, I love it. I love homemade maple syrup. Yep, I love it. Some people don't like it because it's very, very distinct taste versus what you buy in the store, but I absolutely love it. Let's see. How do you post all this on the page? Let's see. Let's see. The bog. Remember the ox shoes. This is Barb saying, remember the ox shoes. I found this. Pine tar was particularly used as a antiseptic and hoof care treatment for horses and cattle. I did not know that. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
I did not know that. That's very interesting. Yeah, let's look some of the reaction from people that were saying the same thing. Watching last night's show from Germany. That was Anne Marie. Let's see. Found this page tonight. Oh, Keith, replying. Oh, Andy. Yep. Yeah, we have, on our group page, we got a lot of posts, and people have come up with some very interesting ideas and answers to questions on our members' posts. So feel free to read all that and reach out and ask questions about stuff too. We got a lot of, that's what I love so much. And I've said this many times. I love so much about our group is because we have so many people that know, more about the show than I do or Jack does or whatever, and they have some really great information to share, not only about the show but about things that are related to the show, which is really awesome. So we can reach out to our members at any time and just ask them what they think about certain things. It's really, really good information, and that's what I love so much about this. We have the smartest group. I think any Oak Island group, we have the smartest group out there. And some of our members are also theorists, by the way, that have theories about different things. The Templars, And we'll talk about that toward the end of the show tonight, because this coming Saturday, we got a great show coming up at 2:00 on Saturday. Linda put out an announcement about it. Talking about we've got Gretchen coming on, and Wayne Murphy, Gretchen Cornwall, and Wayne Murphy, and Sean, I've forgotten Sean Williamson. Thank you, Sean Williamson, coming on. All three of them are going to be on, and they're going to be talking all things Templar and how that relates to Oak Island, and other stuff, around the world with the Templars. It's going to be a great show, and we probably will break it up into 2 shows, because I've got a feeling that they've got so much to cover. We're going to end up with a part 1 and a part 2. So be watching on Saturday at 2:00 Eastern time when we have them on the show. And then we're going to be probably doing a part 2 with them, because I think that it's just going to be, we'll get to the 2-hour point. I'm going to have to cut it and have a part 2. So that's really going to be interesting. Let's see. Jennifer says, let's see. Wow, it just pops by so quickly here.
11:00 in Seattle. Somebody asked what time in Seattle. Yeah, it'll be 11:00. It's a 3-hour time difference over in Seattle. I know that.
West Coast, you're going to be at 11. Yep, that's where Gretchen. She's over on the West Coast, so she's going to be logging in from it's about 11:00 for her.
Deidre's over there also, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Jennifer was saying that to think that coal may burn too hot to make pine tar, but we'll look further into that when you have time. Thank you. Yeah, it may be. You might be right. It might burn too hot. I don't know.
We got somebody. I work on Saturday. We'll be able to see it later. You always put that on Facebook.
Yes. Yeah. If you can't make it for that show, if you don't have, if what's cool about watching it live is you can ask questions. And I know that Jack and Linda will be kind of grabbing some of those questions out of the group and then passing them to me or to Gretchen and letting them know, so that you can ask questions of it. That's the cool thing about watching it live. But yes, it will be recorded and it stays on our Facebook group page, and you can watch it. It's also going to be on YouTube as well, under my thing out there on YouTube, which is JFree906. So you can watch it out there anytime as well. Any of our videos that we have here are also available there as well. So you can pass those on to friends and family. Let's see. Barb says, I lived in New England until 2019. 100% maple syrup is the best. Absolutely. Yeah. The stuff in the grocery store has nothing but sugar. True. Yep. Let's see. Anne Marie, maybe they have made ox shoes from the pine tar kiln. Yeah, you could be right. And I was thinking at some point there had to be some sort of a forge on this island, because they have so many things that were made out of steel, and they had to be for those ox shoes, because they found so many in that pathway over, leading over towards the pine tar kiln and the money pit. That's roadway they were talking about. They found so many that they had to replace those, right? So they would almost had to have had a forge.
Actually, they had 2 places. Scary found the other place too. They had like 7 of them also.
Right. Yeah. Where him and Peter were looking. Yep. So you're right. They had to have had some sort of a forge there, and that forge, they use coal in a forge. So that's a very important thing. Coal does burn hot enough to get your metal with your bellows and using your bellows. And I've done a little bit of work as a blacksmith, not very little. I was being trained a little bit by a blacksmith himself that was a very accomplished blacksmith. He was showing me some work. I've got a couple of my pieces that I worked back behind me. They're really crude, but I do have a little bit. But that coal does burn very hot, and they would need that for a forge. Absolutely. Let's see here. So far behind this chat. Let's see. Shoes. Yep. I've been watching since day one. Yep, Keith, I have too. I've been watching all of them, and I've gone back and watched them again. Linda, how many times have you watched all the episodes?
I've watched 7 seasons 4 times.
Wow. Now, how many of you can... Now, she takes a lot of notes, and she does it for a very good reason, to help us out. But
she bails us out is what she does.
I have about 35 pages of notes.
35 pages.
Yeah, 35. Big fun.
And I'm just starting mine. I got my little binder here. You know, I'm just starting mine. You know, I've got a lot of notes written, but I don't have 35 pages. Oh my goodness.
I have a lot of notes with my filing system, but it's much to be desired.
You have a filing system?
Well, no, not really, but
Wow. Team Templars. Yes, it is going to be Team Templars on Saturday. Come and check it out. That's great. I'm going to tell them that. Team Templars. I like that. That's awesome. Let's see. Yeah, in Seattle it'll be 11 o'clock. I'm just catching up with this. I work on Saturday. Yes, you'll be able to watch it later. Yep. Let's see. 11 o'clock Pacific. Yep. Let's see. Thanks, Jack. The pine tar is boiled pine sap. Yeah, they would boil it down to where it just becomes a thick tar, wouldn't they? That's
right.
exactly. Keith says, hi from Newfoundland, Jeff and Jack. All right. Newfoundland. Man, I see some awesome pictures from up there. I'd love to go there. Let's see. I doubt a pine tar kiln would be hot enough to use to form metal. Yeah, I don't think so. Coal would be used for that. Yep, absolutely. Let's see. Oh, what is this here? Looks like they used a brush pine to treat the kilns. I'm a researcher, editor, writer by trade. Sorry, but I found this. Oh, she's got a link here. Barb's got a link here to a pine tar history. Oh, that's really cool. She's got a very interesting link here, folks. Would Barb, when you get a chance, would you put that also in the I know this will be on the group page, but would you make a post for that? Also, just a regular post on the page for that. That's really cool. Thank you so much. And that's, again, Jack and Linda and Jan. This is why I love everybody so much, because look at this stuff right here. And I was curious about pine tar kilns and how they work. And here she's got some description on it. That's awesome. Let's see. Pam Block says, between the Templars and the Vikings coming on the island, maybe things are starting to get set up. Yep, I agree. Let's see. I'm only through. Oh, Jan says I'm only 3 times. I guess she means 3 times through the first 7 seasons.
Right.
Yeah. Henry says, "Wow, Linda, 4 times." Yeah. Oh yeah. Sharon says, "Bless you, Linda." Yeah. She's our encyclopedia of all things Oak Island. I refer to
Totally
her.
useless knowledge.
No, it's not.
No,
it's not. Useless. No.
You make it look good, Linda.
I think Marty and Rick would be amazed to know what you know about this island. I bet you they would be amazed. They would be absolutely amazed. Let's see here. Let's see. Amazing how much information can be in just one episode of the show. And that's the thing. You know, I've got some people that, other people that I know, the coworkers that watch the show. And we talk about this. Here's another show. They didn't find anything. They didn't find anything. They didn't find treasure, is what you mean to say, but they did find stuff. And everything leads to, not everything, but so many of the things they find lead to the what, why, when, how, who, what, why, when, and where. And that's what I want to know. I want to know the history. And so much of what they find does lead to that history. Let's see. The huge stones. Have you noticed this is Keith Sturge saying, have you noticed the huge stones are the same, like detail to them? Have you noticed the huge stones are the same, like detail to them? I'm not sure what you're referring to there, Keith. Just do you know what he may be referring to? And again, I'm behind on the chat again here, so I might be missing the point here. Let's see. Oh, single space front and back. So actually you have more pages than that, 35 pages, single space front and back. Let's see. The stones that form the cross. Oh, they were all cone-shaped stones, weren't they? The boulders that make up the cross were supposed to be
big boulders. Yes.
Yeah, and they're big boulders. And they the one at the bottom of the cross was cone E, I know, and that's why I'm calling them cone, because they have a conical shape like that. Yes, thank you, Barb. You said she's going to post that. Yeah, and Henry agrees. It's not useless information. Yeah, I know. We're all the same way on that, Andy. Obsessed with the show. We can't get enough of it. Linda can work with Doug. Yes. And I think have you and Doug corresponded before, Linda?
A little.
A little bit, yeah. See, what am I
Yeah.
telling you? Yeah. So yeah, yep, they could. And I tell you what, Doug is another one. He's a fountain of information. That guy. History is treasure. Absolutely, Jeff. I agree with you 100%. History is treasure. Um, yep, and
Those
that's what.
guys are really good about wanting to educate people.
Yeah.
And I found that when I ask them something, I'm not asking them about things they can't talk about on the show. I
Mhm.
need an education in something, and they're mostly happy to do that.
Yep. Yeah, I know. And that's what's so cool about Rick and Marty, especially Rick, because Rick really wants that history. And I know Marty does too, but Marty's thinking, yeah, I want some gold too. I want to find some treasure. But Rick really does. He wants that history. And that's how I feel about it as well. I really want to know, we've hit so many points of there's been the French on the island, there's been the English on, the Britons on the island, there's been the Templars, I believe. It's still not officially proven, but I believe the Templars have been on the island. And we know
Vikings not proving either, but they
and the Mi'kmaq have been on the island. I think that I think that the some of our founders for America have been on the island. They've certainly been in the area. So, she said Charles, not one. Charles, not Doug. Um, I look forward to the artifacts they find each week, says Pam. Yep, me too. The clues that they're finding are amazing. Yep. It's all part of the people's journey. Every little thing found. Yep, I agree. Fred Nolan noticed that the stones were cone shaped. This is Mary answering. Fred Nolan noticed that the stones were cone shaped and flat on the bottom. Um, yep, they were all pretty much the same, and they are the way they're laid out on the ground. They're exactly laid out. Measured um, to the foot. They're measured out exactly. So it wasn't. It was definitely done on purpose. And I go back to that. We talked about this last week a little bit. That I go back to that same thing, saying that those are absolutely that cross means something. And if Aaron Helton is correct, which I hope she is, they need to
and
dig it.
she wasn't on this week.
Yeah, they didn't have her on at all this week. They did make mention, and we'll get to that at the end there. They did make mention of that they looked in that spot that she gave and they found nothing, but she may be reevaluating that, or, obviously it's all done now because they filmed this over the summer. But, at that point, she may be reevaluating where to try to dig another exploratory hole to find out if they do hit a shaft there. Um, yeah, Barb says that's some 70 pages of notes then if you got them front and back single spaced. The borehole shaft 8 is I still would like to see that shiny gold thing or whatever it was. I know, I'm with you. And that very first episode of the season when they sent that diver, that's H8 you're referring to. They sent that diver down there and he was digging away and then something fell and floated down. I'm still not convinced that that's a coin because it kind of floated a little bit differently than a coin would, I think, in my opinion.
It was
But
too light. It was too light to be a coin the way it floated down.
yeah, I think so too. But it was certainly a shiny gold thing, and I want to know what it is too. You're right. I want them to get back in there.
They
So
were gonna suck things up from the bottom on that, weren't they? They were talking about I can't think of the term that they used.
yeah, they were the water vacuum thing where they pump water in and suck water out to try
Right.
to stir it up and then suck it out and see. I think they really should do that. Yep. Yeah, Rick is very humble. And I've heard from the people that have actually met him, the people that we've had on the show that we've talked to and that have actually met him have said the same thing. He is very personable, very genuine, very friendly guy, and very humble at the same point. So you're right. Let's see. I'm trying to get caught up. I'm way behind on the chat now. Japanese cash coin Gary found 1100 years old. That is definitely a Bobby Dazzler. Yep. Let's see. Harla's here. Hi, Harla from Ohio. Welcome. Glad you're here. Let's see. And you referred to see it once and never referred back and leave us wondering. Remember back when in I think season 6 when their guy said there was a tunnel joining the two islands. He did after a presentation, then never mentioned again, and there was no more information on it. I do remember that. I do remember something
There
about that.
wasn't that somebody that it wasn't on a show, but somebody that posted that.
Well, I think there was a guy. Well, was it? There was something that was said about the space between the two islands. There was some sort of connection or a tunnel between them. And I think you're right. And they never talked about that ever again. So yeah, that you're right. That does go so much of the stuff that they find, they never talk about it again. And I think it's because they've determined that there was no significance, I suppose. Um, of what that particular thing was. They found a piece of bone. This was last season. They found a piece of bone in that wash table, or not wash table, but it was that what do they call that? Where the rocks are coming down through the conveyor belt. I forget what they call that thing. A wash machine that washes everything. Anyway, they found a piece of bone, and they were saying, "Oh, look here, this looks like a piece of bone." That was the last we ever heard of it. We never saw another thing about that piece of bone. So it must have been just a ham bone or something. I don't know. It was definitely wasn't of any significance. Let's see.
Well, they found the two bones when they were doing the one case on, and we found out they were from two different eras, but they never said anything after that really on those.
Right. Yeah, those were the ones. A wash plant. Thank you, Don. A wash plant. Yeah, and Jan. Everybody's jumping in on sluice box. Yep, a wash plant. Yeah, the guys on the Gold Rush show, they use those all the time. But yeah, they found that piece of bone on there, and then it was never ever mentioned again. So obviously, it didn't have any significance. Let's see. Wow, a lot of chat tonight. All right, guys, I love you guys for bringing all this stuff up. For me, when they don't have on a computer. Yeah, you need to scan all those into your computer or something, Linda, so they are saved forever. Because I think you had a disaster once with your notes, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I dumped coffee over 7 seasons
Oh,
and had to start over.
Oh, see? What dedication. I'm telling you. Wow.
So now they are all done on the computer, in the computer, and printed out in a notebook.
Great. That's awesome. No coffee's going to get to them this
And
time.
no coffee allowed.
no. Got
Or
everything
wine.
backed up now.
Yeah, got to watch out for the glass of wine too. Let's see.
I'm not spilling the wine.
No, can't spill. Coffee's okay, but don't spill the wine. Let's see. Right, they are on a time limit per episode. They have to decide what to cover and what not to. Right? Yeah, I agree with you there. Wonder if they do some stuff for later seasons too. I don't know about later seasons, but definitely later shows. We know that they take bits and pieces of the show and they kind of move them around. Because you'll see leaves on the trees in one episode, one segment, and then leaves are not on the trees in the next segment.
One time they're in shirt sleeves, and another time they're in coats. And
Yeah, or Rick's hair is real long, and then the next scene he's real short. So yeah, and then it's somewhere in between on the next scene. Yeah, so we know that they do that, and that's part of the show. And it's the same thing with I'm going to click on here to the next picture. This one right here. It's the same thing with this. They baited us. They said, "Did you seen Gary? Ooh, a coin!" And he pulls this coin up off there, and then they ended it. That was our promo. And then we find out it's from 1919. Still, it's very significant. It's an old coin, but yes, it's not old enough to go back dated to where any kind of date that we are really interested in. Get DNA from the bone. Well, they did. Yeah, they did just the ones that they found in the 2 bone fragments that you were just talking about, Jack. I forget which caisson they found those in.
I don't remember that. I don't remember, but
Yeah, I don't know if Linda, do you remember? But they found those 2 pieces of bone, and they did do some dating on those, and found out that they did do a DNA test because they found out one was European, and they found out the other one was Middle Eastern,
Asian.
I believe. So
I want to say Asian or something along.
one was Middle Eastern, and I think the other one was European. So they did find those, and they did do the DNA on those, and they were obviously human bones. They did. Oh, Kathy says they did say it was human. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure about that because I didn't hear anything more about it. Let's see. It probably comes over there. Let's see. Put your notes in the cloud. Put your notes in the cloud, Linda. Get them up on the
They
cloud.
are.
On a thumb drive too. Yeah, I think she's got them saved every which way. There's not going to be any more coffee disasters.
I'm good now. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Andy says, I want to know why Laird wears a Newcastle. Oh, we had when I had actually interviewed Laird once upon a time, and he talked about that. That was one of the questions that some people asked him, and he was talking about the fact that it's and he's got a couple of them. He has an old hat and a newer one, so he actually got a newer one later on because it was in such bad shape. But yeah, the Newcastle Football Club baseball cap. He's originally from Newcastle. Yep. So that was
His
interesting.
father-in-law is
Thank you.
from Newcastle,
Okay.
and he gave Laird that hat, but it wore out. So this is either his second or third
Yeah.
Newcastle
Yep.
hat.
That was an interesting one. We want to get Laird. We do keep in correspondence with Laird a little bit, and we definitely want to get him on the show again and talk to him again, so we can cover that. So he was again like Mr. Taylor, archaeologist. Aaron Taylor, he's just a fountain of knowledge. Those guys, man, the things that they've discovered just fascinates me. Let's see. Barb says, you look at the credits, have writers, and they decide what to cover and what not to. Yeah, Rick's hair does seem to change a lot. That coin looks like an old penny from the UK. I don't know. What does anybody recognize what that coin there is? I don't know. From 1919. I don't know what. That's an awful big one for a penny.
Harry said it was English.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he did. He recognized it. One was a woman, I think, from the Middle Eastern one. Maybe. I don't know. I thought. I don't know. Did they say one was a woman? Those bone fragments they found.
He said that in one episode, and then never mentioned that again.
Yeah. Okay.
You kind of kept waiting. Was this woman a slave? Was she a pirate? Because there were women pirates.
Mm-hmm.
Who was this? How did this person end up down there?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And why were they over 100 feet down? And it's not going to wash down there. It's yeah. You're exactly right. It's a British half
penny.
Halfpenny or halfpenny. Thank you, Barb. Appreciate that. Let's see. So I know because I went across the pond with my grandmother back in the day. Very cool. Let's see here. Oh, look at there. There's a picture. Barb's got a picture of it. She put it up here. I just got to that. I'm 29 comments behind right now. I just got to that. Let's see. I need this lady a phone and a friend who wants to be a millionaire, so she knows everything. Let's see here. I got to get caught up here. British halfpenny. Thank you. Let's see. Photo, send it to you too. I think it was a digging down episode that it being a woman was disclosed. Oh. Was that a digging down episode, Linda? Do you remember?
Yes, I think it was. But digging down is the previous week's show with some add-ons.
Right. Yep. That's very true. Yeah, it is. But anyway, that was, I was kind of mentioning there how they kind of baited us with this, Gary saying, "Whoa, I'm going." And Gary, I love Gary when he gets so excited about stuff, don't you? I mean, he has got the most, emotional. I mean, he just drags you right into. Yeah. He drags you right into his find. Ooh, what did he find? What did he find? I'm leaning over, looking, trying to see what. Yeah, he does. He really drags you into it. Okay, so then they found the next thing. This plumb bob. Now I'm pretty familiar with plumb bobs because my dad, being a master carpenter, my late father, he used these and he had some. Matter of fact, I have one of his down in my basement and some tools. And it's very heavy. It's a very heavy hunk of metal, and it's pointed like a, shaped kind of like a top, so to speak. So when I saw this with that hole in it, that's kind of what I was thinking too, and it sure is. I believe that Carmen Legg, when they take this to Carmen, they will discover that it is indeed a plumb bob. Now, and again, just like Jack had said, where would you use a plumb bob on the island? Yes, great. Gary does have great enthusiasm. Where would you use a plumb bob on the island? And a plumb bob would be used for, they used it for, something like this for, checking make sure that, if you're doing a structure of some sort, whether it be a building or whether it be a shaft, they're going to be hanging this down from a point, and then you look at it and you're looking at it as the line goes down. The plumb bob is basically there just for the weight and to keep it from swinging and to keep the line taut. That's why they're heavy. But you're using that as a means of not only finding square I'm sorry, not square, but a 45-degree angle or a 15-degree angle, as you see in this picture here, but also you would use it for measuring along. Let's say you have a post and you have it, the plumb bob hanging alongside the post. You measure up here, it's an inch away, and down here, it's 2 inches away. You know that your post is not standing straight up and down. So you have to make your adjustment. So that's where you're using that plumb bob and the line to take a measurement to make sure something's straight up and down. A level and a plumb bob. Thank you, Henry. Exactly right. And so that's what you would use it for. And it makes sense that they would have one on the island if they're doing like Jack had said, if you're making a tunnel, I mean, not a tunnel, but a shaft, you're going to want to make sure that that shaft is indeed straight and not going off at an angle or something like that. So that's a very good point. That's what you would use it for on the island, I would think. You would use
And
it.
I think the other term that Vanessa used was walking.
What's that again?
Vanessa said, that goes to Vanessa, but she said it would be walking where it would be crooked.
Yes, yeah, it walks away and it doesn't keep that true straight line going down. You're right. Let's see. Looking at the chat again over here. Yeah. So anyway, that's what a plumb bob would be for. So that's an interesting find. Now the curious thing is, what's it going to be dated? What kind of a date are they going to have on this thing? When they get that over to Carmen and get a look at it, and he gets a good date on that thing, that I'm really interested to see, because that will tell us if it was a searcher. The guys from doing a searcher shaft would have lost it, or would have been from the original depositor creating the shaft. Not a sail weight. I don't know. I don't know. Do sails? You would think a sail might have a weight on it. So when they unfurl a sail, I don't know. I don't know, Barb. That's something I don't have any knowledge on. Does anybody else know out there, members? Do you guys have any idea about that? Would it be a weight that would be used on a sail? Makes sense. I don't know. Digging the ground. This is the new way of digging the ground with boreholes. I'd say they're going to find something significant, in my opinion. Yeah, I hope so. Let's see. I'm not convinced of the plumb bob either. That was Linda. So what do you think, Linda? What do you think it is?
Oh, I think it may be a weight or a spike.
With that hole, that's the one part about it that makes it interesting, is that hole top that where you would, put a string or a line, tie a line onto
a rope. Yeah.
But we'll see. Carmen, I'm sure they're going to get this thing looked at by Carmen probably next week. Jeff says he thinks that the sail weight would be a bag of sand or something. I don't know. I don't have enough knowledge on that at all to I'm sure we get some answers
Yeah,
on
I don't know if it's big enough to be a sail weight, but
Yep.
maybe because I haven't held it in my hand. I don't know how heavy it really is.
that. Yeah, I don't know. You seen, yeah, and you heard Gary mention that to Rick when he handed it to him. And you see Rick, he kind of did this with his hand, like, whoa, that is heavy.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Pam agrees with you. A spike. Henry says, Henry DeWitt says, I'm a plumber. That brass thing is a plumb bob. Yeah, the brass, this thing here in the picture I've got up now is certainly a plumb bob. Dowsing rod.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll push on. So anyway, there are lots of interesting things happening in the southeast corner of the swamp. We've got the wooden structure that may be a wharf or a slipway or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, even though I want it to be a tunnel entrance or something like that. I don't think it is. I believe it is some sort of a slipway or something having to do with bringing the boats in. So we'll find out about that as we go along there. But interesting. Then we go on to the next part of the segment of the show where we get to the war room with all the gentlemen and lady that you see here in the picture. And that's Miriam over there with Jack and Laird. Scott Barlow, Rick, and Doug, of course. And they're talking about the Serpent Mound. And he opens up the floor to Doug to talk a little bit about Serpent Mounds. And so we go on from there. And Doug starts to talk about Serpent Mounds, other Serpent Mounds around the area. And one of those that he had the picture here that was shown on the show was a Serpent Mound that is in Otonabee, Canada, near Keene, I guess.
Keene.
So this is one that they found that they know is, or they declared it to be a serpent mound that they were using as a reference to the one that's on Oak Island, if it really truly is. I'm starting to, at first I wasn't thinking so, but I'm starting to believe that maybe in fact it is. Yeah, Barb says, yeah, going back to the swamp real quick. She's so glad that they are looking more closely at the swamp. It's definitely significant. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Definitely significant. We're going to find out more as we go along. So they found some, and I know that Jack has done a little bit of research on some of the serpent mounds around the area or mounds that have been declared like a serpent mound in Canada and also in Ohio. And I know you've done some research on that or looked up some information on it for us, haven't you, Jack?
Yeah, the one in Canada, which is the one they were Aaron referenced the week before, that is dated by 381 BC to 444 BC. It was made.
Wow.
So it goes back to the Adena. Let's see, it was the head of it is the summer solstice. The tail is the summer solstice.
Or the winter solstice. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now that was 198 feet long and 27 feet wide and 5 to 6 feet high.
Right.
So it's a little bit bigger than the one on Oak Island because that one on Oak Island, I think he said was 138 feet, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think it was 138 feet. Yep.
And it was a historical site. It was the Hiawatha First Nation leased it to the province for about 40 years, and then they took it over. And it was closed in 2009 during the recession there. They didn't get tourists and it needed fixed up. So it has not been open since 2009.
Right. That's this one here, the one in Otonabee?
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Now, the one in Ohio is a whole different ballgame because it is the largest one that they have ever found.
Mm-hmm. I've
It
seen
is
that.
1,376 feet long.
Wow. That's incredible.
And it's 1 to 3 feet high and 20 to 25 feet in width.
Wow.
And like I said, it's the summer and winter solstice, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
This one, they could not come up with who made it. They had two choices. They had the Adena, and that would be early, 800 BC to 100 AD.
Oh, wow.
Then a Fort Ancient culture was anywhere from 1,000 to 1650 AD. So they really didn't know who made it. And both those dates were found by charcoal. They did a charcoal carbon testing on them and everything. Now, this was closed for a while because of COVID and everything. And I believe Linda told me that they opened it back up this summer to
They
everything.
did late summer.
Mhm.
But I don't think either one are really related to Oak Island because I think the one that we're looking at from Oak Island, you've got to remember where the Templars were. They were in Scotland.
Mhm.
And there is one in Scotland. There are two more in Europe.
Really?
I do not have how long they are or anything else. But if this is Templar related, that would be where they would come from. That's where they would know how to build them and everything else.
Right. And have a significance for them. Yeah. Hmm.
So I mean they have been used for serpent worship and everything else, but the one in Oak Island, I asked myself, I'll close this by I asked myself, why would there be a serpent mountain on Oak Island? My answer came back is because it's Oak Island. I mean,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
I mean, how many curveballs have we been thrown on this island in 8 seasons so far?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right. A lot. Yeah, a lot for sure. Interesting. So, and what you were just saying there is some of those other serpent mounds that were created in North America, whether in Canada or in the United States area, but in North America, and this being North America as well, that those were created in AD. So those were created much, much earlier, and those
Earlier,
have been done by Native Americans because I don't think that there was anybody else here at that time besides Native Americans, whether in Canada or in the United States or Nova Scotia. Um, but so those would have been Native Americans, right? Going back
right?
that old.
There's no
Uh,
mention of
mhm.
a Canadian or an American or anything else. It's all tribes that they're talking about.
Right. So they'd be native Northern Americans that created these. And again, whether or not that's market, like you said, that the head is toward the summer solstice and the tail toward the winter solstice, and and obviously it had some sort of significance to them. And you also said they're not. Some people said, oh, they're a burial mound, but there was no burial. There was
There's
no.
no burial mound inside of the Serpent Mound. Now, off to the side,
Mhm.
they did find burial grounds.
Okay,
And
not in
we
this.
can't say that. I don't think there's any on Oak Island, but they really haven't gone out to the side a whole lot. I mean, that could put a pretty, I think it could put a halt to a lot of things very
Oh yeah.
quickly, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Yeah, if they found bones in this thing, that would definitely put a halt to it
But
right
they
there.
never found any art. They've never found a lot of artifacts inside the mound itself. So it makes you wonder what it was used for.
Right. And you would think that because it's not a burial area, and it does point to the summer solstice and the winter solstice, which is good because that gives them a reference to know exactly when the solstices were. But they would have to use it then, you would think, for maybe religious purposes of some sort, right? I mean,
Yeah.
what other reason would they have it? They would have it maybe as a gathering place where they could go. But I have seen the one in Ohio. I've been there as a kid. I was there. My parents took us there when we were kids to see it, and that was really neat. And so, and again, that one is very well laid out. It's very
Right.
uniform. And I don't have a picture of it, but it's
Very
very
well laid out.
when it's seen from the
Somebody has
air.
asked the question if it was the mound that Scott Welder investigated in his show. He investigated the one in Scotland
Ah,
more
okay,
than anything else, and then came over.
okay, yeah. Let's see. It's got a couple of information or people. Don said something. Took pictures of the Serpent Mound this afternoon. Yeah, I was going to say we do have a couple of our members who are people who have been to, and I believe is it this one here, Don, that you've been to, the one here in Otonabee. Am I pronouncing that right? I may not be, but anyway, Don has been there, and there's another gentleman. I've forgotten who it was now. Um, that's been there. I know you, Linda knows. Let's see.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Now, who's been to
I
this?
was nodding off.
I know the show's so riveting, isn't it? Um, Who's been to the mound here, the one in Otonabee, Canada? We know because I know
Don
Don.
Wagar
And
was
also
there.
somebody else.
Tom
The golden
Burns.
retriever.
Oh,
Got
Tom
the
Burns.
golden retriever.
Yep.
Tom Burns and also Henry DeWitt, I think.
Okay.
Henry, have you been there?
Very possibly. Let's see.
I know Tom Burns has, and they both live fairly near there.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
could be the
Pam-
gentleman that's working
Gary,
for Nixon, too.
Gary did metal detect around the Serpent Mound, if
Mhm.
indeed that's what it turns out to be.
right. I think they're kind of leading towards it is because it is coming up on future episodes of the show. So
They didn't show a 3D picture yet or anything like they were going
no,
to
we
do.
do have a rendition of it so far that I'll show you here in just a second. I wanted to catch up with the chat. Pam was asking about where the head and the tail points to. Well, we've covered that with the solstices. Spent mounds in the serpent mounds in the southern Ontario near me. That's Henry DeWitt, very similar to the one the team is looking at. Good information. Thank you. One important point is that the mound is on the highest point of the island. That tells me that it was a lookout possibly of where a small fort was located or a watchtower as a watchtower. Could be. It is. It is. And they've said that a couple times now that it was the one on Oak Island is situated on like almost the very top of the island, the highest point on the island. So it could be seen.
It didn't live. It was a bit of it so far away from the water.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't right up against the water's edge because that's what Miriam had said. She said that it was not some sort of uh, a barrier wall or a fortress or a wall or anything like that. I forget the term she used now, but because the fact that it was so far away from the water, so that took away that possibility of it being a structure of some sort for a military structure. Um, no, I have not met Rick and Marty. I am from the UP of Michigan, and so are they, and we're very close in age, I think. But no, I have not met them. But I hope to next this year. I would keep saying next year, this year, 2021. I hope to. Let's see.
You have to go to Traverse City to do that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they live in Traverse City area now, or at least Marty does. Lives in the Traverse City. He's got his Maury Vineyards there. They moved down there, but they're still Yoopers. They're still Yoopers like me at heart because they wear the hats all the time. Matter of fact, I saw on the show last night, Rick was wearing a hat that said, and it had a picture of the UP, like I have my hat right back there. It's got a picture of the UP, and then it says Michigan's better half. I love that. I'm going to have to find me one of those. I really enjoyed that one. So he was wearing that last night. Let's see. Yeah, the one Jeff Wood. I'm so far behind on my chat here. I'm sorry, folks. Jeff said the one in Ohio, the Serpent Mound, Ohio, is like a quarter mile long. You said it was 1,000.
1,376 feet long.
Yep. Yep. Now you answered that question. Let's see. One UK off. Please stay safe. Oh, it looks like Andy left. Good night, Andy. It's 1:20 in the morning. Oh my goodness. Yep.
It'll be okay for Saturday.
Yeah, he'll be good for Saturday. That's why we're doing Saturdays so early in the day. Partly that, but also I think we're going to do the Saturday shows when we have special guests like that. We're going to try to do them earlier in the day to help. That will also help our members that are overseas and so they don't have to be up in the middle of the night. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up here. Man, I'm so far behind. So why the charcoal found in them makes me think it was a dump site for materials from digs. Serpent Mound could be a map. Wow, I hadn't thought of that. Serpent Mound could be a map of some sort. Huh. Did you guys think of that, Linda, Jack, Jan? Did you
So
consider?
now, when somebody you said dump site,
Yeah.
they really didn't. They really discounted that idea pretty fast because it was all piled up with nothing in the middle, which was what they couldn't figure out.
And it was covered with dirt. So if it was a dump site, why would it be covered in dirt? That's what I thought. And that's what one of them said when they were out that day. It was either Aaron, I think Aaron might have said it, that they were a pile of boulders, but yet they were covered in dirt. If you were just doing it as a spoils pile, you wouldn't bother it with covering it with dirt, I don't think. Keith's asking, where was the first coin discovered on Oak Island? I have no idea. I don't remember. I know that they found coins long before the Laginas got on the island. They found some coins. So I don't know to answer that question. I really don't know. Serpent Mounds in Ontario are 2,000 years old, Henry says.
That's about right.
Don Brent says, I think Gretchen will have something about the Serpent Mounds and Templars on Saturday. I'll tell you what, if she doesn't bring it up, ask if you would, Don. If you're going to be there, please ask that question so we can remember to ask her. Let's see, Barb says, not necessarily Native Americans, including Spanish, Vikings, Norse, and others visited North America. Asian people could have crossed the Bering Strait as well. Lots of people from all over the world came to the Americas. Land masses afforded that back in the day. Yeah, there has been. And, our history books always said, Christopher Columbus discovered America. There was people here long before he was.
I got a feeling Saturday we're going to get a lesson on that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we know that wasn't the case. Gary did. Oh, Barbie, and I think Linda already mentioned this. Gary did do some metal detecting, and now something that's one of those things we see on the show that they never go back to, because Gary was on top of that mound and he was metal detecting. And he got a hit, and then he got a hit, and then that's when the archaeologists showed up, and they never went back and talked about his hit again. They didn't dig it up. They didn't do anything. So I'm like, wait a minute, he was just getting a hit up there.
Maybe they stopped him until they found out what it was.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. But he got a hit, but they never did dig it up, at least as far as we know. They didn't dig it up. So he did. Let's see. I'm sick, but I'm watching Deborah. Oh, I'm sorry, Deborah. Gosh, I hope it's not COVID related that you've got. But I wish you well. Hope you get better soon. I have been there. Let's see. Getting some pics of Linda. Okay, good. Far better. I'm getting a doozy of a cold. Oh boy. Let's see. Detecting numbers. I'm not sure. Don Ryder. I wasn't. Oh, it's Linda answering Don. Let's see. Man, I'm still 40. I'm 45 comments behind already. I can't believe it. You guys are really commenting a lot tonight. I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's great.
It is. And I love the interaction. That's what this show is about. It's not about me just sitting up here talking about last night's episode and discussing things. It's partly that, but it's also about you guys. I love the interaction with everybody. Let's see. Now everybody's telling somebody to restart their computer. Let's see here. I think it's a swamp, high ground, possibly a fort. I don't know. Dump site for digging spoils and shafts and tunnels. Tom, that's something that they said on the preview, I think, for next week's show. They're relating it to the Templars, and they were talking about how somewhere or another it relates to the money pit. I don't know. We're going to find out what that said, but they did say something about that in the preview, if you saw that. Anne Marie says, I know the owner from Lot 5 has found many artifacts. That I don't know. What do you know? Do you know anything about that, Linda? Or Jack?
I do. That's the lot that the guys are not allowed to be on.
Mm-hmm.
And he has his own website, and I posted that very early on, back in November.
Okay.
About his website and the things that he had found. So if you just put Lot 5 or Young, which is his name, in a search bar at the top of the page, it will take you to those things.
Okay. Good point. Thank you. Yeah, so he has found some things apparently. So yeah, check that out. Lot 5 or Young was his name. Check those out and see if you can find that. Let's see. Wanda says my family was there before Christopher Columbus because he never stepped foot in North America. Let's see. Was cruel to his shipmates. Not a nice guy at all. I don't know much of the history about Christopher Columbus. Barb says, according to history, he was cruel to his shipmates. Not a nice guy at all. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Tony's still with us. Let's see. Robert Young. Thank you, Tom. Let's see here. So, all right. So I'm going to try to push on and get through the rest of these pictures real quick, and then we can keep talking about whatever you guys want to talk about. This is awesome. Doug had I laid out this big long chart that he had here, and this chart was basically showing the different religions of ancient religions that people were into at the time. And he showed that many of them, prior to Christianity and prior to sun worship, worshiped serpents. And this kind of led him to take a look further at what the Templars were into. And he came up with some interesting information. Now, here's his rendition of what the Serpent Mound there in, and again, we're calling it the Serpent Mound, or should we just call it the Oak Island Mound? He has done in this picture here. But this is his rendition of its shape, as would be seen from the air. So that's very interesting. So I thought this was really cool to get an idea of what it actually looks like, and what it represents. Now, honestly, to me, that does not look like a serpent. If we can find something out about this particular shape, if this is truly the shape of it, according to Doug, I'd like to find out more about this shape and what this shape may mean. If it's truly constructed on purpose. But again, a spoils pile, why would you lay out a spoils pile like this? Why would you have it laid out like this? That I just can't, I don't have an answer for that. But that's interesting. And then, so we see that it's up on, here it is. This is looking at looking south on the map, upside down, of course, the map of Oak Island. And you see here that, Don said a two-headed serpent, maybe. Let me go back and look at that real quick. Maybe. I don't know. Interesting for sure. But this is where it's located, lot 15. And again, almost on the very highest point on the island. Tom Burns said, just notice the largest part is the shape of Oak Island. Maybe. The largest part looks like a map of the island. Barb says also. Let me go back and see that again. Similar. Certainly
They
similar.
used to say that Oak Island was shaped like a peanut.
There you go.
And that looks like a peanut.
It does.
Before there was so much erosion to turn it into an elephant or a duck.
Right.
They said it looked like a peanut.
Wow. Very cool.
See, there's a lot of useless trivia in this bed.
But that's very interesting because that looks like a peanut.
It does look like a peanut.
Now, so you would have to figure out what this over here part is doing. Oh man, I'm telling you, you guys are awesome. All of you, Lyndon, all of you, Jack, you guys are awesome. And our members out here talking about that. It does. It really does. When they first drained the swamp, Gary found a coin with the shape, I think, was a cross or something like a Roman figure or something. So
That's
anyway,
hard because they've drained the swamp 9 times.
Yeah, quite a few now. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's when they were saying, well, how come we never noticed, that structure over there before, the roadway that they found? It's like, because they never scraped the muck off over there before. It was covered up with, how much muck, a foot of muck on top of it. That's why they never noticed it before. Yeah, very interesting. I'm liking the map idea on this. That, and if that is Oak Island, and then, yeah. Peanut, no wonder. It's like an elephant. Elephants like peanuts, right? Oh my goodness. You people are funny. Anyway, lot 15, and again, shows it up there. Now, one of the things that you see these stone cairns, this was something that was pointed out. By Doug and them talking about these cairns. And then here's the one that is down in Otonabee, a Serpent Mound in Canada, overlooks the waters of Rice Lake. And so, you're talking about the body and then the head, I guess this would be considered a head, 4 to 5 feet high, 189 feet long. That one is. Now, here's one thing. They show these other things here. A, B, C, and D are cairns. Now, something that they mentioned on the show about these cairns was the different things that would make up that it was indicative of all the serpent mounds that they've discovered so far. These are some of the common things: stone and soil construction, an average of about 4 feet high, located on prominent hillsides overlooking water, a mound out in the front of a mound out in front of the head. So at the end of it, then there's something on the other side of that, something else, um, and nearby individual cairns or mounds. All those things make up the serpent mounds in the area, or the area of the documented, not only in the United States, I believe, but also, like you were saying, Jack, overseas in Scotland and whatnot. So, and you look at this top one right here, there you got that opening or that split right there. And then you've got the head, which is very similar to that one. You've got that split and then this opening in between the two. You see that? I noticed that when I was looking at these pictures. You know, you see the head here and then the split. And then if you look at that one, and I'm not sure which one this is, but you've got the head and then you've got that split area there. So very similar to that one. I'd like to find out which one this is. I don't think they actually said. Oh, that's interesting. Barb says, not a head. Snakes lay eggs.
Now, one of them, the head looked like it had an egg inside the head. And I can't remember which.
Hmm.
Oh, I cannot remember which one it was. Hello.
Don says it's like it's taking a bite of the island. You're right. It is kind of like that, huh? It's taking a bite.
An egg.
The mouth is open and it's taking a bite or took a bite out of the island. That's very cool. That's why I love you guys. Look at that. Like it's opening its mouth, getting ready to take a bite. Very interesting. I don't know. Lots of cool stuff about it, huh? We all see something a little bit different, but it really does look like an island. A two-headed serpent represents indecision. Cool. Yeah. Let's see here. Some really good stuff. I love that stuff. I'm so glad you guys are so into this. Okay, so now we get on to the whole part about where Doug was finding, and help me with it. Well, how's this pronounced again?
Abraxas.
Abraxas. The image most associated with Abraxas is that of a creature with the head of a rooster, and the body of a man, and the legs of serpents. The Gnostic identified Abraxas with Yahweh, which is God. Abraxas appears in the seal of the Templar Grand Master in a 1214 AD French charter. 1214 AD. The Templars used use of Abraxas as a seal could be the result of their expansive treasuries containing a number of ancient gemstones. So here we go with the tie-in of the serpents with the Templars, which means, you know, again, those things leading right towards the that the Templars were there. Again, we don't have that definitive answer, but I'm believing they were personally. I'm a strong believer that they were. That may be the one in Ohio. It could be. You might be right, Jennifer. I've got to get a picture. I need to get a picture of that one in Ohio.
For what? For what, Jeff?
The Serpent Mound in Ohio. Let's see who was saying it. I just passed by. Oh, Jennifer was saying that the one that is right here. She said, "Look, it might be the one in Ohio." You could be right. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up, and I'll look that up and I'll post it in the on the member page. Abraxas, Gretchen. Yes, we'll have to ask Gretchen about that. I bet
Yes.
she knows all about Abraxas. I'm sure Gretchen will. And there's a close up I took of that. And these symbols over here to the side, I don't know what they mean. That almost looks like Greek writing, Greek letters or something on the bottom down here. I don't know exactly what that means, and they didn't really talk about it. But again, the legs of a serpent, and they are. Could that then indicate the legs I don't know. I don't know. Probably not. Just something that occurred to me just now. So yeah, so interesting. And there is the cross, the 25th degree. That's a picture I grabbed real quick of that, and put that up there. The 25th degree. I'm not sure exactly. You said that was Freemasons. Was that Linda?
It's a Masonic symbol.
Okay. And you pointed out something very interesting about this earlier that I had not thought of, and that was like considering this to look similar to the cross medical. Isn't it's a cross that's wrapped in a snake or a serpent or two,
A
isn't it?
serpent. A caduceus.
Caduceus. That's what it was. A caduceus. So, and do you know anything about the 25th degree? Does anybody? And again, I'm sure Gretchen and Wayne probably do. But do you know anything about the 25th degree? To what that exactly is? That a level of
Yes.
achievement, or okay, all right. So it's a level within the Masonic ranking.
Right.
of a-
Like Charles Barkhouse just became either a 32nd or 33rd degree Mason.
oh wow, then that's why he would know this, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. 25th degree. Okay. So that is a level of achievement within the ranking of the Freemasons. Okay. Interesting. So I thought that was pretty cool too. And like that caduceus, I don't know. That's very similar of a serpent. So basically what this is showing is the fact that serpents, and me being a Christian, I always think of the serpent, in the Garden of Eden being representative of the devil, of Satan tempting Adam and Eve, or Eve, away from to eat from the tree of knowledge, eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge. So I've always looked at the serpent being evil, or representing of Satan, whereas many of these of ancient civilizations worshipped the symbol of the serpent, which I kind of found personally, I kind of found that a little hard to swallow that the Templars would do that, because the Templars were of Christ. So why would they have anything to do with the serpent in a good light? I don't know. I kind of found that's something I'm struggling with personally as a Christian, but I guess I'm open to find out exactly more about what that's about. So I don't know. Snakes give me nightmares. Yeah, Barb. You know what? I like snakes as long as I know where they are, and I know that I'm not, like right on top of them. Then I like snakes. They're cool. I've petted snakes. I've held snakes. As long as I know where they are and what they're doing, I'm okay with them. It's when you don't know, when you have that one that's disappeared. We have black snakes here in Pennsylvania, and they like to get into structures, wooden structures, and live in wooden structures. Yeah, Barb, you agree with me on that as being a Christian? Yeah, yep. I know that's just serpents. Never, I don't see serpents in a when I think of a serpent, not a snake, but a serpent in a good light. But anyway, they find their way up into attic spaces and stuff like that in houses around here sometimes. And I actually had one when I was looking at houses to buy. And I'm going to tell this little story real quick. But I went out on this little deck area, and it was unfinished. The roof came down where they actually added on, and they had this little deck area that was covered outside. Well, I stepped out there, and I went out there onto the deck, and I'm looking around. Then I turned around and looked back toward the house where the doorway I just come through, and you could see up into the rafters, and there was a black snake hanging down right there, a big one. Now that I knew where he was, I was okay with him, but he was hanging right above the doorway, so I was a little hesitant. He was kind of hanging there, and I'm like, okay, I'm a little hesitant to go back in there because he's just big old black snakes hanging right there, but they're pretty much harmless. So I did make my way back in, but I just kept my eye on the guy. But anyway, so anyway, they, as long as I know where they are, but they do kind of like kind of freak me out a little bit. Let's see. Barb says the forked tongue, not good. Yeah, black snakes. Nope. Yeah, I know. Let's see. And we've had some great interaction tonight. That pretty much wraps up what I had for the show. I did have I guess it does not. I forgot all about this. The charcoal that was found. I almost forgot about it. I actually did. The charcoal that was found by Aaron Taylor, Dr. Taylor, he found this piece of charcoal and they did have it carbon 14 dated. And it came back with a date of, I think it was 1320 to 1440. Okay, so 1320 to 1440. Who does that put us in line with? The Templars, I believe, right?
And
believe it.
Okay, so if that and I haven't heard where they got any carbon dating on the charcoal that they found in the pine tar kiln. I haven't heard that said yet, but Craig Tester, who is the one that he gets all the data on things that they have tested, did in fact get this tested and he had the data on it 1320 to 1440. And as Rick had mentioned, what other piece of information do we have that's dated around 1320? Anyone? Bueller? That would be Zena's map. Zena's map was dated 1320. So very interesting. And again, Zena's map is one of those things where I'm a little kind of like Marty in the respect where, I want to believe it. I want to believe that Zena's map is real. It sure has shown us some very significant pieces and points of the hatch that they've not. I don't think that they found the hatch yet. They went at one time and they found that one spot that they dug up, which I think turned out to be just I think it was an outhouse, a hole from an outhouse that they were looking in. Was that on the ball property or the hatch that they went looking for that one day?
It was right up by Dave Blankenship's house.
Yes, it was. So I don't think that was the hatch. I think that was an outhouse pit, personally. But
well, it might have been a hatch, but it wasn't the hatch.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so very interesting to have charcoal that Aaron, Dr. Taylor, took out of the serpent or the mound. We'll call it the Oak Island Mound. Took out of the mound and had it carbon 14 dated to 1320. So very significant. And and again, that goes back to our archaeologists and their super significant importance because of the fact that they can find these types of things with that little brush and that little trowel and then get them carbon 14 dated and find out that has to show the date of that, which maybe it was a Templar outhouse. It could have been the hatch, maybe. Could have been a Templar outhouse. Who knows? Keep it on the other side of the island over there so we don't have to smell it. But anyway, so very important to be able to date that charcoal. And again, that's why we have our archaeologists to be able to do that and find these things. Barb says that the origins are questionable. Are you talking Zena's map? Yeah, I agree.
It's been discarded. It comes back. It's been discarded. It comes back. I mean, more lives than a cat right now, I think. Right.
Yeah, and and I want to believe in it. I really do. I want to believe in it because it is interesting, and it does. And like Aaron Helton has put a lot of emphasis on the map as well, using it and saying that like she said in not this week's last night's episode, but last week, that Zena's map has been pointing to the place to dig where the actual treasure is the whole time. I sure hope she's right. I'd love it to be at the base stone of the Nolan's Cross. I would love that to be the case. We'll find out. I guess in coming episodes if they dig there, and I think they have to. They have to at least do an exploratory dig there hole and find out if there's anything down there. But again, they have to be very, very careful because they don't want to punch through something that was intended to stay dry, or punch through something that's punch through the Ark of the Covenant. That'd be great, huh? So we'll see, but they have to look into that area for sure. Now they did also on the island, and then we'll wrap this up. But they also did on the island look for. They were on the money pit. They were still doing some exploratory holes with the I think it was the 6-inch pipes going down, digging down in around the money pit, area. And again, they're trying to nail down exactly where the money pit is. And that's why they're doing these exploratory holes. And they decided they punched these holes in there around RF1, which was the Restall family 1 caisson that they put down. And they did some of these exploratory holes. Now they're going to do 6.5. They did 5.5. They did, there was another one there. What did I have? I had in my notes here, G5.5, I think it was. And they basically, I didn't spend a lot of time on it for the show last night because, quite honestly, like Jack was saying earlier, they didn't really find anything. They've dug these holes down and they didn't find anything of significance. Now they're going to do 6.5 to find out if that they want to hit the money pit area. And
They
so
really changed up where they were going this time. I mean, all the others were in a bunch. This one's going to be up more
mhm,
off to the side.
right on the other side of RF1 there. So, and they, and we showed that picture early on in our early episodes. They showed that picture early on, just all those boreholes that they put down in there. And like you said, how they walk, they were going straight down and then they walk off a little bit. There's so much when you get down to the depths of 150 feet and below, they've actually missed so much area down there because of the walking of that borehole going down. It walks off to the edge and they can't keep that straight. I did see that something that I did note, and I didn't get a picture of it, but they were talking about they put a gyro. They put a gyro down when Rick or when Marty came back and he was talking about they were doing one of the holes there. I think it was 5.5. He said, "What are we doing now?" And he said, "We're putting a gyro down." Now, I thought about that. I thought, what in the heck is a gyro doing? Would that gyro be to check their alignment to see where if the hole is walking? Would that be what it's for? I don't know.
No idea.
Are any of you guys have information on digging wells and things? Would you know why would you put the gyro down in a hole that you've dug? Because they called it a gyro, and I wrote that down, and I thought a gyro. I don't know why they would put a gyro down there. So if any of you members know, I'd love to know why they would put a gyro down there. And again, the only thing I could think of was to see if their pipe is walking away from going straight up and down or not. And if it is, to find out which way it's going, but I don't know. Is that what it would be for? So if any of you know, I'd love to get an answer on that. Linda, do you know about why
I
they
got
would?
nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, yeah. So anyway, and like I said, they didn't spend a lot of time in the money pit, and that's why I wanted to show this just real quick. And I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it because obviously it wasn't a significant factor. They were filling time on the show, which I'd rather they spent time over in the swamp, quite honestly, that time slot. But they did want to show that they were still continuing to explore the money pit and try to find out exactly where the actual money pit is. So they're
They
still
want
looking at
to for the big dig is what they're trying to find.
yeah, exactly. And make that determination of are they going to do a big dig? I think now, that may be in question. So whether or not they're going to do a big dig or not. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out if they are. Especially if anything that Aaron Helton is coming up with any of the information, if any of that pans out, they may not have to. But again, was it a ruse? Was the money pit a ruse? Was that something that was done as a decoy to keep them from finding the true treasure? Yeah, it could be. So if they do a big dig, is it going to be wasted?
That it was a ruse.
The what? Say that again.
Wasn't that Aaron's theory that the money pit was a
Yep.
ruse and
Yep.
they had to go in through the back door?
Yep. Yeah. There's been several people that said that, and Aaron Helton was definitely one of them. She said that it was just a ruse. It's a decoy to keep them off from finding the treasure. So, but we'll find out. We'll see what they come up with. And again, there's going to be that, we saw them from the drone video that they were, still punching holes in the money pit like Swiss cheese over there, and they will continue to do that. But we'll find out if they, as they go along, if they find anything. let's see. Tom Burns is saying that a gyroscope from ancient Greek. Okay, I have no idea what those words are. Circle to look. This device is used for measuring or maintaining orientation and angular velocity. It is a spinning wheel or a disc which, on the axis of rotation, spin axis, um, is free to. I got to click on see more. Free to assume any orientation by itself. When rotating, the orientation of this axis is unaffected by tilting or rotation of the mounting, according to the conservation of angular momentum. Okay. And now some of
Okay, Tom Burns, I still don't know.
that's what I was getting at. Woo, kind of flew right over my head there. I mean, I understand how a gyroscope does what it does, but again, I don't really understand. I don't really understand.
You got to bring it back down a level.
Yeah, you got to bring it down a level for us, Tom. Yeah, you kind of blew us away on that one. Let's see. I haven't watched it. Probably not new. Let's see. He's right. It used to determine the orientation of true north. And that's the only reason why I could think why they'd be putting a gyro down a pipe, a well pipe, is to see if it's going off of straight up and down or not, right? Keeps the drill straight. Okay. Tom says keeps the drill straight. Thank you.
Okay, see, I get that.
I do too. I get that. I say, okay, keeps the drill straight. Thank you. Yeah, they
Yeah.
want to make sure they're not going off on a. It is the main instrument for orientation in mine surveying and in tunnel engineering, where astronomical star sites are not visible and GPS does not work. That was according to Barb. Copy and paste, says Tom. That's very interesting. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. So anything else? We're about ready to wrap it up, but I figured we'd throw it out there and see if there was anything else that people wanted to talk about tonight. We had, man, I wasn't even thinking that we were going to be able to have enough information to cover. But Linda said something to me. We were talking about this earlier today, and I said, Linda, I said, the show had some good stuff last night, but I don't know if I've got an hour's worth of stuff to talk about. And she says, oh, don't worry. There's good enough people and it's going to be in the chat. They'll keep you busy. And I said, well, man, I sure hope so. Boy, that was understated, wasn't it?
We had some great chats tonight, people.
We're not even done, and we've had 401 comments. Is that what I'm reading there?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. That's why and I say this every week, and I know you guys are going to get tired of hearing me say this, but I absolutely love doing this because of the interaction that I get with you, that we get with you all. I just love it. And that's what makes this so much fun to do. And it makes the show so much better because we get to interact with you all and exchange these ideas. Absolutely fantastic. Jennifer says, since the center swings and sways, level marks in the side indicate how much tilt there is. I believe indicating the deviation of level or plumb. Thank you. Yeah, 2 hours later, Don says, 2 hours later, and you're still going. I know.
Sure.
Oh, man. Yeah, we got you covered. Thank you. You got, Barb says they've got us covered, Jack and Linda and Jan. They've got us covered and keep us going here. Yeah, this is fantastic. And I really do. I so much appreciate you all. And that's what this is about. That's what this group is about. Is just, we want to keep it fun. And I did want to say that, this is, there might be a lot of stuff going on in our world outside of our doors and our houses and in the political world and all that. And we don't allow any of that kind of stuff in the group chat or post or anything like that. But this is to be a place for us to get away from all that for a little while. Not only the show that we watch on Tuesday night, but also this show here. It's so that we can escape from that stuff and come here and be happy and enjoy talking about something that we enjoy and kind of have that escape for a while. And that's what this is all about too. And I really appreciate, everybody in that respect. And please understand that we don't allow that kind of, We don't want anything having to do with that stuff on this site. This is about Oak Island and beyond Oak Island. And we deviate a little bit of, and we talk about some things that may not be necessarily about Oak Island or beyond, because that's what we are beyond. Now, we'll get into more of that as we go along. Right now, the show has taken up the majority of our talk time. And I hope you're okay with that. We haven't talked too much about beyond, and we will. I'm going to go back and watch all those shows again. Because they're on my app, on a History Channel app, and we'll cover that. I promise you, we will get to that. And I don't mean to ignore it. It's just that the show has been taking up so much of our talk time, and that's and I hope you don't mind, but we will get to beyond, and we will talk about things that are not so much, beyond Oak Island. And we're going to, I think, is there going to be another season of the World War II Gold? Do you know, Jack or Linda?
I have not heard.
I have not heard, but it didn't start until early spring last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it started up right after Oak Island went off, where their
Right.
final show. They came right in right after it, if I remember correctly.
Right. And I want to talk about that too. I really enjoyed that show, and the fact that they just punched through into that pit, and they are into that space that they figured was there, and they found those crates and stuff, and that's where they left us.
Yeah, 938 foot sideways tunnel. I need to know.
I know, me too. I need to know. They punched
The thing I want to know, are they going to change the whole cast around again too?
Yeah,
they changed the whole cast except for one or two people from year 1 to year 2.
Yeah, they did. Yep. They kept a couple of the main people, but they changed some of the other folks around quite a bit. So yeah. Yes. Barb says, "Oh my God, this is the best place to escape the baloney." Thanks so much. That's exactly what it's, one of the reasons why we're here, to escape from all that.
And I just want to thank all the new members that we've gotten lately. We have gotten a lot more members than probably we ever thought we would get.
It is simply amazing how many people have joined. I don't see the number at the moment where we're at right now, but 800 and what was it? Almost 850 members. Absolutely fantastic. 835 members, and growing. And I tell you what, honestly, I'm blown away by that. I really, really am, and I can't thank you all enough. And again, please keep coming on and sharing your ideas, share your insights with us. It's been great. And I so much appreciate everybody. I know I say that, so much, but I just can't personally say it enough that I thank you. And I thank so much for Jack Campbell, Linda Simpson, and Jan Anderson out there for helping us out. And we get a lot of information from other folks too. Oh, and our folks that made the map showing where everybody is from. I tell you what, you two have taken on a task that I can't believe. I think when you took on the task, or when you started it, we had about 300 members.
Yeah, poor Brenda. Holy cow. I don't think she had any idea what she was getting into.
Brenda, did you have any idea what you were getting into when you started that? Because now we're up to 850.
But she is in Phoenix working. She'll probably hear this afterward when she listens.
She's not. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she has to. But yeah, I don't think she had any idea what she was getting into. So, now we've got 835 members, and she's got a lot more work to do. So, what did Kathy, hi, Kathy. Thank you for being here. I just want to thank you for having closed captions. They work very well, and I am hearing impaired and would not be able to understand the conversations. You're very welcome. Yep, that's a great thing too. Thank you guys. Again, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you, Jack, Linda, Jan. Thank you for being here and helping us out with the group. And thank you all members. I'm going to say goodnight, and you all have a great evening. I'll let you guys say your good nights.
Good night. We'll see you Saturday.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks. And we're going to try to keep, make sure you post on the web page that how much you appreciated having Linda on here tonight too, so she comes back again.
Oh, hush. Hush.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks again for being here. We really appreciate it.
Good night, all.